You know, when I was going to university, my ambition in life was I wanted to be a lawyer. That was what I wanted to do. So I applied to do law in New Zealand. I applied for the scholarship. Actually, I got it. I got the place. I got the scholarship. Because, you know, my village, there is no P.O. box. So my address was meant to go to my auntie who was holidaying in Europe. So by the time the offer came, she was holidaying, and it was put under lots of piles of other letters. I didn't know I had the offer, so I didn't go to New Zealand. I didn't know I had a scholarship, so I ended up going to USM in Penang for my first degree. I hated it, because suddenly my ambition I don't have anymore. But you know, luckily it happened. If I didn't go to Penang, I would have not met my wife. You see? And if I didn't go to Penang, then there's no Leon and Max, our two boys. And if I didn't go to Penang, I would not have joined Shell. If I didn't go to Penang, then I would not have joined Malaysia Airlines, because they found me from Shell to join MAS. If I didn't go to Penang, I'm not here today as a minister. All of this would not have happened. And so, actually, if you don't believe me, when we finish the course today, I ask you to do a very simple exercise. Take a piece of paper and a pen, not now, tonight. You write down all the big things that happen in your individual life, every big thing. And you ask one question: did this thing happen exactly like this because you made it happen like that? If the answer is yes, put a tick. If the answer is no, put a cross, and count the number of crosses and count the number of ticks. I guarantee you, you have a lot of crosses. Got nothing to do with you. It's true. Most of the things on my sheet, more than 60% that things happen in my life got nothing to do with me. Now, if I had gone to New Zealand, suppose I had gone to New Zealand, I didn't go to Penang, and I got that letter, I got the scholarship, I turned up in New Zealand. Today, in all likelihood, I will be a conveyancing lawyer in Miri. Very sure, because all my friends are there now who went to do the law, exactly the same. And so I always looked at life in a manner to say that actually life, we must be humble. Because all things in life we cannot do. Whatever you say you want to do, if you believe what I said, you do principle number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, you can still lose. Because it's not meant to be. Now, who is in control of our life? If you listen to many people, they say it's fate. The religious people say it's God. Lillian too says it's feng shui. So, whatever it is, you realize this. If so many of what happened to us got nothing to do with us, I want all of us to understand that we better be humble. The world is not at our feet. So we must know, we must succumb to the fact that we're not in charge of everything in life. That's the first universal truth. The second truth is this: life is a continuous reduction of option. Let me explain this philosophy. When we were young, starting life, you remember when you were young, somebody asked you, what do you want to be? Oh, one day you say you want to be a lawyer. Another minute, engineer. Another minute, pilot. Another minute, nurse. Another minute, doctor. Everything can do one. Then you go into school, suddenly you discover, well, I am not good in maths. Actually, I don't like sciences. Suddenly, cannot do engineering already. Cannot do architecture. Suddenly you realize, oh, limited already. Reduce. Cannot do this, you can only go here. Now you go into university, suddenly you're not doing law anymore. You're doing whatever you're doing, media studies. Very limited. Your window is limited. When you get married, so option reduce. But Muslim can lah. So in life, option always reduce. I remember when I went to Holland, I worked in Holland for 4 years. My wife and I were in London. I enjoyed my time there. Shell said, Idris, you can look for a house. This is how much we would pay. You go and look for the houses. My wife and I went looking for nice houses, I saw a really beautiful house. It's called Mofu, next to the golf course. I don't play golf, but I just like the forest. Huge forest because I come from the jungle. And there was the golf course, there was a forest walkway there. And it's a beautiful house. I said to my wife, this is the dream house. It also got bar. It got billiard table, everything so nice one. I said, this one, I said, my wife said, no, 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 no. Why? Because every day I have to send our sons to school. There's no school very near here. So you cannot decide. The options are to buy or to rent a house near the school. Option reduced. So even then, everything in life, option reduced. Reality is option reduced. Now, actually in life, suddenly when you say 70% of what happened to us got nothing to do with us, Lillian too said it's feng shui, and then suddenly as you grow older, your options are so narrowed. Why? Boring this life. Isn't it? No good, huh? Now, how do you make sure, if you're religious, how do you make sure that God give you all the things that you desire? How do you make sure that faith give it to you? How do you make sure that feng shui give it to you? I said 3 things you can do to influence the destiny. The first one, all of us better be good human beings. You cannot be successful in life if you're a bad individual. You must do the good things and help the poor and help others who do not need, that they need help. So in life, as we become successful, we have to be good human beings. No great leaders become great leader if they are bad. History tells us people like Hitler, their sins will find them out. Saddam Hussein, the sins will find them out. All the people that do bad things, eventually they get caught with it, one way or another. So only the people that do good things, some good will come to them. If you like, the luck will come to them, the faith will come to them. Many good things when you become a good human being. And the second thing I want to talk about is business ethics. What is right and what's wrong? What is right to do, what is corrupt practices? I always believe in business, there are 3 circles. The white circle, the gray circle, and the black circle. The black is when it's illegal, it's corrupt, don't do. The white circle is when it's business principle, the right thing to do. Unfortunately, in business, you find many gray things. Not exactly wrong, not exactly right. How do you deal with that? I tell you this, every time you handle something like that, always involve many other people to make the decision. Do not make the decision on your own. In my case, when I was leading companies, all those great things I bring it to the board. We discuss it at the board. After all of us in the board, we discuss it, we do another thing. We write a very detailed minutes and notes about why we made that decision. You realize there are limited options available. This option has got pros and cons. This option got pros and cons. This option got pros and cons. But we decide on the basis of all the options available, that option is the best amongst all the bad ones. And so we take that. So when you do this, you do it together with others, not alone. This is very important. I know I'm talking sometimes not making sense to a few people. Never mind. At some point, it will make sense to you. When you hold very senior position, you realize a lot of issues, not exactly wrong, not exactly right. So do not decide. Why I ask you not to do it on your own is this. All business ethics, you make the decision on the basis of your conscience. Your conscience is the thing that tells you whether it's right or wrong. Not the law, because the law is not specific. It's your conscience. If you decide on your own, your conscience gets modified after a while. When your conscience gets modified, everything that you used to see as black before, suddenly you see them as gray. Then the next thing you do it, actually you step into the illegal things. You start bribing other people. And that's why I do not want people to start operating into the gray zone and making decisions on their own so that they step into that area. And so in business, you have to always remember to stand in the white, no, not stand in the gray. Every decision you have to take on issues in the gray, bring them into the white. Discuss with other people and put notes. So the third thing you do, and if you do this, the luck will come to you. That's what I'm saying. God will help you. The feng shui will be on your side. All of that will come to you. And let me say the final word. It's about self-renewal. I actually use this term to describe two things that happen to us. You know the word loneliness? The word loneliness is to be alone and you don't want to be alone. That's the word loneliness. There's another word called solitude. That means you alone because you prefer to be alone in deep reflection. Religious people use it to pray. Other people do it in meditation. It's very important to have time to think, time to reflect. You know what is the problem with us? We are very busy. Every day running around doing things. We never have time to sit down quietly and think. Actually, every other week, if you can, you must find time to sit down and think deeply about what you're doing. Think about yourself, think about what's happening to you. And this attitude of thinking about it in self-reflection is awfully important. I tell the guy who worked for me in my office, one day in 2 weeks, I don't want anything in my diary. 1 day in 2 weeks. Because 1 day in 2 weeks is my time to think about what I want to do. And think about what is wrong with the way we're doing it now. Reflection time. And when you start doing this, a lot of things happen to you because we are busy looking at being driven by others. We never have enough time to think and reflect. The power within you is generated by inside you. And if you have empty inside you, you cannot run a marathon. You cannot do these limits. Power only comes from within every individual. I know this is almost spiritual. I don't mean it in the spiritual sense. But you really must, it must come from within you. Now let me close by saying this. As you think about all the principles I described, the no limits journey, let me start from beginning, starts with you setting no limits target. If you do not set no limits target, there is no limits journey. If you are a little scared, you may not need to tell the whole world about it. If you are really going to do it, you better tell as many people about what you intend to do so that it causes you to be totally committed because you now have no choice. The second one, as I've said before, you must know what constitutes success. In business, about the P&L, about making money. So you must be very clear all the things you do, the activities, the program you take must be geared to help you to make money. The third one, discipline action. Detail. I told you about the coffee. Very, very detailed, very specific. You must write down in detail what is it you're going to do. When you start this journey, be very directive, situational leadership. Later on, then you can let go. But in the beginning, very directive. Winning coalition. Working with others. Make friends. That's how you will then do this. Network with others. Very, very important. And finally, be humble to recognize that all said and done, even though you think you've done number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, if you fail, it's okay. Let me now end by saying this. If one of you want to be the next 100 meters Olympics champion of the world, anybody dare to say 4 years down the road, you beat Usain Bolt? Anyone? Let's suppose one of you, this gentleman here, he stands and go brave enough to go to CNN and say, 4 years down the road, I will become the next 100 meters Olympics champion of the world. Let's suppose he did that. Then every morning he wakes up. Every morning he wakes up at 7 o'clock. He go for training, practice, 8 hours a day for 4 years. Olympic time come. Do you think he will be the world champion? Anybody? Some of you very polite lah. Some of you say yes. Many of you say no. Do you think he will make Southeast Asia champion? Maybe not lah, because he's already quite old. Tak boleh lah. Maybe the champion in Selayang? Can lah. Maybe the champion in PJ? Can lah. But whatever happened, let me tell you this. Doesn't matter whether he succeed, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter whether he fail. One thing for sure, after 4 years of doing that training, 4 years down the road, ladies and gentlemen, tell me who's the fittest person in this room. This gentleman. He would be transformed. So the point here is, this whole journey is actually not about winning and losing actually. It's about the transformation that happened to you. I can tell you from my own self, I went through this journey many, many times. I've done it many times. Each time I went through the journey, it is not important whether I succeed or whether I lose. The most important thing is I have transformed. That is the key here. You have become transformed. You become a better person. You become a better leader. Now, you know, John Ruskin, there's a guy that wrote this famous saying, and I want to end with that. He said, the best reward for a man's toil means hard work, is not what he gets from it, not the reward, not the money, but what becomes of him. What becomes of him. So this is the point about no limits journey is what become of you. So you have to think about, you will become a better leader and you become a better person in doing this no limits journey. And as a result of that, in my view, if you do it, you have a very good chance of winning actually. Thank you.